Welcome everyone. Welcome to this webinar about management of change in Asia and Europe with case studies of Essen, Germany and Sawahlunto, Indonesia. Both of them are two former coal mining sites of the UNESCO World Heritage List. So first of all, Pan-Sumatra Network for Heritage Conservation would like to express gratitude to the Municipality of Sawahlunto, Sumatra Heritage Trust, Indonesia Diaspora Netherlands Task Force Livable Cities, and Asia Network for Industrial Heritage for the cooperations to organize this webinar. And to all participants, once again, welcome. Please mute the audio system during the webinar. So the quality of the audio will be clear when only the speaker who has unmute. And to all participants are welcome to take a part in the webinar by sharing your comments and questions. Please write your comments and questions through the chat rooms. The co-moderator, Cindy Indira from Sumatra Heritage Trust, will take care of all comments and questions. We will address your comments and questions during the discussion sessions, which is about 1 hour. If the time is up and still there are some outstanding questions, we will respond later by emails. Certificates and all materials presented in this webinar are available and will be distributed after the webinar. So let's start and learn together. First of all, we would like to have a welcome speech from the Mayor of Sawahlunto, Honorary Bapak Dewi Asta, as the host of this webinar. Please.
As it is like that, I would like to propose to approve the proposed draft decision, and I declare the decision 43-8B-17 adopted like amended.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore dan salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Yang terhormat Ibu Delia Bos, Kepala Humas Zollverein Situs Warisan Dunia UNESCO. Yang terhormat Bapak Sebastian School, Koordinator Warisan di Zollverein Situs Warisan Dunia UNESCO. Bapak Yunus Arbi, Bapak Roni Armis, Bapak Robi Rosandi selaku penanggap dari Sawahlunto. Moderator Ibu Asti Tarekat, anggota Pan-Sumatra Network, Bapak Ibu peserta webinar hari ini yang kami muliakan. Mengawali pengantar ini, kami mengajak kita semua untuk memanjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Allah, Tuhan Yang Maha Esa, yang telah memberikan kesehatan kepada kita untuk dapat mengikuti acara webinar Management of Change in Asia and Europe ini. Bapak Ibu, saudara-saudari yang kami hormati, suatu kebahagiaan bagi saya menyambut kehadiran Bapak Ibu peserta webinar Management of Change in Asia and Europe, Case Studies of Essen, Germany and Sawahlunto, Indonesia, to former coal mining site of the UNESCO World Heritage. Sawahlunto dengan nama warisan tambang batubara Ombilin baru saja berulang tahun yang pertama pada tanggal 6 Juli 2020. Warisan budaya tambang batubara Ombilin Sawahlunto ini berada dalam wilayah administratif 3 kabupaten 4 kota di Provinsi Sumatera Barat, yaitu Kabupaten Padang Pariaman, Kabupaten Tanah Datar, Kabupaten Solok, Kota Sawahlunto, Kota Solok, Kota Padang Panjang, dan Kota Padang. Warisan tambang batubara Ombilin Sawahlunto memiliki nilai universal luar biasa, kriteria 2 dan 4. Warisan budaya tambang batubara Ombilin Sawahlunto menunjukkan pertukaran signifikan dari teknologi pertambangan antara Eropa dan koloninya di Asia selama periode abad 19 dan ke-20. Sering disebut sebagai revolusi industri. Ensemble teknologi yang kompleks ini direncanakan dan dibangun sebagai sistem yang terintegrasi yang dirancang untuk memungkinkan efisien ekstraksi penambangan dalam, pengolahan, transportasi, dan pengiriman batubara berkualitas industri. Desain secara keseluruhan dan tahapan eksekusi menunjukkan transfer pengetahuan yang sistematis dan praktek pertambangan dari masa revolusi industri di Eropa dimaksudkan untuk mengembangkan industri pertambangan di Hindia Belanda. Warisan tambang batubara Ombilin Sawahlunto merupakan suatu keluarbiasaan. Secara global merupakan sebuah contoh preseden dari ensemble teknologi yang dirancang untuk efisiensi maksimum dalam ekstraksi batubara. Strategi sumber daya alam yang menggambarkan perkembangan karakteristik tahap kedua revolusi industri di akhir abad 19 dan paruh pertama abad ke-20. Ketika teknologi rekayasa diintegrasikan ke dalam kompleks sistem produksi yang efisien sehingga menimbulkan perluasan eksponensial dari basis manufaktur masyarakat dan mengubah dunia dari bekas pangkalan agrarian ke dalam ekonomi global, industri, dan perdagangan dari zaman modern. Perkembangan teknologi perintis abad ke-19 ini menggabungkan antara ilmu teknik pertambangan bangsa Eropa dan kearifan lingkungan lokal, praktik tradisional, dan nilai-nilai budaya dalam kegiatan penambangan batubara yang dimiliki oleh masyarakat Sumatera Barat. Hubungan sistemik industri tambang batubara, sistem perkeretaapian, dan pelabuhan ini berperan penting bagi pembangunan ekonomi dan sosial di Sumatera dan di dunia. Warisan tambang batubara Ombilin Sawahlunto menggambarkan dinamisnya interaksi sosial dan budaya antara dunia barat dan dunia timur yang berhasil mengubah daerah tambang terpencil menjadi perkotaan dinamis dan terintegrasi. Bapak, Ibu, saudara-saudari yang kami hormati, warisan tambang batubara Ombilin Sawahlunto terdiri dari 12 komponen yang berada dalam 3 area, yaitu area A, Kota Tambang Sawahlunto, B, fasilitas struktur perkeretaapian, dan C, fasilitas penyimpanan batubara di Teluk Bayur. Pada area A, Kota Tambang Sawahlunto terdapat 6 komponen, yaitu situs pertambangan Sungai Durian, sekolah tambang, kawasan pengolahan batubara Saringan, transportasi kereta api Ombilin, kota lama, pembangkit listrik Salak, dan stasiun pompa air Ranti. Dari 51 objek warisan dunia Ombilin Coal Mining Heritage of Sawahlunto, 45 objek warisan dunia berada di area A atau di kota Sawahlunto. Area B, fasilitas dan struktur teknis perkeretaapian yang mencakup sistem rel kereta api bergerigi di dataran tinggi, berikut dengan jembatan dan terowongan yang menghubungkan wilayah tambang dengan pelabuhan sepanjang 155 km menembus dinding pegunungan. Area C, yaitu fasilitas gudang batubara di Pelabuhan Emhaven, merupakan tempat penyimpanan deposit batubara yang terakhir sebelum dibawa keluar melalui kapal. Jadi sesungguhnya kota Sawahlunto itu sendiri hanya merupakan salah satu bagian dari situs yang ditetapkan, yaitu area A. Beberapa objek tersebut akan dan telah dikembangkan maupun dimanfaatkan baik oleh pemilik aset, pengelola, atau pemerintah sendiri. Bapak, Ibu, hadirin saudara-saudari yang kami hormati. Melalui webinar ini, kita dapat bertukar informasi tentang mengelola perubahan dalam satu situs warisan dunia. Zollverein sebagai kota tambang yang juga merupakan situs warisan dunia telah ditetapkan sejak tanggal 14 Desember 2001. Pada hari ini akan berbagi pengalaman dengan kita, bagaimana mereka mengelola situs selama hampir 1 dekade. Dalam pelestarian warisan, sesungguhnya yang kita lakukan adalah mengelola perubahan agar pertumbuhan selaras dengan pelestarian itu sendiri. Di Asia diwakilkan oleh Sawahlunto, Indonesia dan di Eropa diwakilkan oleh Zollverein Essen, Jerman. Baik Zollverein maupun Sawahlunto, keduanya merupakan kota pertambangan yang menjadi situs warisan dunia. Bapak, Ibu, saudara-saudari yang kami hormati, di akhir pengantar diskusi ini, kami dan tentunya kita semua berharap bahwa melalui diskusi ini akan menambah khasanah dan keilmuan kita semua dalam mengelola perubahan pada satu situs warisan dunia. Karena sesungguhnya perubahan itu mutlak adanya selama kota tersebut masih memiliki masyarakat yang hidup dan berkembang di dalamnya. Kita hanya dapat mengelola perubahan tersebut agar selaras dengan pelestarian serta kedepannya dapat memberi manfaat bagi kesejahteraan masyarakat. Demikian beberapa hal yang dapat kami sampaikan. Semoga Tuhan Yang Maha Esa memberikan kekuatan lahir dan batin kepada kita untuk dapat melaksanakan komitmennya dalam melindungi dan melestarikan warisan budaya untuk kesejahteraan masyarakat dan generasi yang akan datang sesuai dengan amanat Undang-Undang Cagar Budaya dan Konvensi Warisan Dunia UNESCO. Selamat berdiskusi. Sekian dan terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
That cultural heritage is dynamics. That's why the title of this webinar is Management of Change. Cultural heritage aims to serve the current and future generations. That's why managing cultural heritage is managing of changes. UNESCO World Heritage Site Zollverein in Essen, Germany has been in the list for almost 2 decades. So Sawahlunto is in the list for 1 year. So there are 2 decades difference between 2 sites. So what can Sawahlunto learn from Zollverein that has been in the list for almost 2 decades? What are the dynamics of heritage management in Asia and Europe? And how can both sides, Zollverein and Sawahlunto, learn from each other? So probably it's interesting to exchange experience and knowledge between 2 sides. And we are glad that today we will have 2 representatives of Zollverein UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Is Delia Bos, Head of Communications and Press Officers, and Sebastian Scholt, Heritage Coordinator. I apologize, Delia and Sebastian, if my German not very good. Okay. And also we would like to welcome the participants, especially from Indonesia, and also participants from other countries. We have participants from the Netherlands, from India, from New Zealand, from Taiwan, Philippines, Germany, Italy, Malaysia, and Australia. So we have an international audience here. It is very nice to be able to meet all of you online and exchange and sharing knowledge and experience later during the discussions. And Norway, of course, I apologize. Yeah, Juliana Strogan, welcome. And of course, my name is Hasti Tarikat. I'm the moderator. I'm Indonesian living in Amsterdam, and I'm co-founder of Pan-Sumatra Network for Heritage Conservation. I would like to invite Delia Bos, Head of Communications of Zollverein World Heritage Sites from Essen, Germany, to share her knowledge and experience of 20 years being in the list of the UNESCO. Please, Delia, if you would like to introduce more about yourselves or your colleagues or your sites, please go ahead. The time is yours now. And for all the participants, please mute your audio system to have a quality. Yes. Delia?
Yes.
Are you? Yes.
I'm
okay.
ready.
Join. Hi. Nice. Okay.
Dear Mayor, dear ladies and gentlemen and representatives, dear participants all over the world, very much for your kind invitation. We are very pleased to be required for this webinar. Okay. My name is Delia Bösch. I'm head of communications. My colleague is Sebastian Scholz. He is heritage coordinator. We are both representing Zollverein Foundation, UNESCO World Heritage Site Essen in Germany. This is our direction office. It's part of UNESCO World Heritage Site 2. And the Zollverein Foundation is the owner and the general manager of the site. Our tasks are to keep the old, to change it into the new, to create post-industrial future. And let's have a short view to financing. We get our money from the government of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. The federal government, the private sector, the European Union, and by ourselves, the Zollverein Foundation. We get receipts from ticketing, event business, and rental. First of all, I want to give you an impression where Zollverein is located. It's in the middle of Western Europe, and the central shaft and touristic center of Zollverein is this, what you see in this picture. Zollverein is located in the north of the city of Essen, 5 kilometers off to the center of the city. It's 100 hectares big, in total with 2 shafts and a cokery. And Zollverein is bigger than the center of the city of Essen, which has 500,000 city inhabitants in total. This is the main shaft. Zollverein, just give me some facts and figures. Zollverein wrote industrial and economic history in Germany for 150 years. It was the most modern and efficient plant in the world and is said to be the most beautiful mine in the world. It's a completely preserved work of art, so to say, built design. And let's get a short new view back into the past of Zollverein, short history. The operating period of the plant was 1851 till 19 1986. This period was marked by constant technical expansions and innovations. At peak times, 8,000 miners worked in the pit, and in 1939, the best years were produced per year. And in 1986, 1,000-meter depth was reached. This was a pit in, let's say, 1890. The first shaft, the first plant was built in the look of a castle. And what you see here is a front view, the new central shaft 12 in 1932, a very representative place with the green cord. This is the view from the other side. You can say it's the backstage side, tracks with coal manage. This is our famous Works swimming pool. It's opened in summer holidays, especially for the neighborhood. And this picture is a symbol of change. The challenge is to change an old mine into a monument, into a touristic place, into a cultural center, and into an economic hub, and into a campus for students, and into a leisure place for the neighborhood too. This process is not finished yet. Zollverein is still a location in change, but already very successful. Let's have a look to the numbers of visitors. Per year, there are 1.5 million visitors at UNESCO World Heritage Site. And in this chart, you can see the visitors' development. Short after the shutdown of the mine, nobody went to this place. But in 2000, we started with some guided tours. And the peak was in 2010, when we had when Zollverein and Essen was the European city of culture. Until now, we have 1.5 million visitors continuously. Let's have a look to our touristic products. Most important is the monument path, Zollverein. It's our most important touristic product, and it counts on our outstanding universal value, OUV. We have 155 visitors per year on this path. We have 35 different programs in 6 languages, 100 guides, and all these guides are continuously trained. They are former miners, teachers, architects, and students. Our very new is our hands-on pit for children and families. This is a very important target group for us and a consistently growing market. Another important product are our events. What you see here is a very nice touristic offer. We have more than 500 events per year, sports events, culture events, business events, food events like this, what you see, art events and concerts. This is a light festival. This is our famous Zollverein ice rink in winter. Fireworks, Zollverein concerts. This is a party in the Red Dot Design Museum. This is a setting of a business event in the Grand Hall. This is a view into a building where we show an exhibition. We have a lot of events for children. This is a picture of a mine festival. We organize this for the neighborhood and for former miners with their families. Now let's have a look on the time of the career of the disused coal mine and cokery Zollverein. It's in the last 150 years in the historical context and what is important for the side of development. This time beam starts with the time when the entrepreneur Franz Haniel has sunk the first shaft in 1847, and this was a time when industrialization starts in Germany. The first coal was extracted some years after this. And 50 years later, more than 5,000 mine workers worked in 3 shaft sites all together. 20 years later, the technical progress was going on and the era of Bauhaus started. And in 1932, I mentioned this before, mining operations at Zollverein Shaft 12 commenced. The coal crisis started in Germany in the 1960s, and the last use of the Shaft 12 is put under conservation order in 1986. Just a few years later, in the Ruhr area started the International Building Exhibition. And some years later, the Zollverein Foundation was established. Zollverein was a big part of the International Building Exhibition. 2001, Zollverein was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and we finished the master plan for the Zollverein development 1 year later. A big set was 2010, the Ruhr area became capital of culture, and in Zollverein we had 2.5 million visitors. Another big thing was the Essen Green City of Europe big event in 2017, and in 2018 there was a final coal exit in Germany. So this is historically context and the development of Zollverein, and for us it's very important to see these contexts. The process of transformation of Zollverein started short after the closure in the late 1980s. So let's have a look concrete into the transformation process from the last use of the mine till today. These steps count on transformation and big touristic events. Last use, 1986, some years later we started to restore the first building, the red, and realized the Red Dot Design Museum, and we did it with a very famous architect, Sir Norman Foster. Some years later, we renovated another building, the Casino Zollverein, a very famous restaurant. The International Building Exhibition started with Zollverein as a main project, and then Zollverein was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and we did the master plan with Rem Koolhaas, a very, very famous architect who helped us here to make the plan. In the following years, we started to rebuild the site we installed in the old coal washery, the Ruhr Museum, a very new international Ruhr Visitor Center, and the Monument Path. And we finished all this in 2010 when the Ruhr area became capital of culture with these 2.5 million visitors. There was another new building we finished in this time, the Sanaa building, and also with very famous Japanese architects, the Sanaa office. Let's have a look to the OUV of Zollverein, because this is what we always have in mind for with everything we do. The Zollverein 12 coal mine industrial complex is an exceptional industrial monument. Its buildings are outstanding examples of the application of the design concepts of the classical modern movement in architecture in a wholly industrial context. And the technological and other structures of Zollverein 12 are representative of a crucial period in the development of traditional heavy industries in Europe and of outstanding quality. This is the reason why Zollverein is symbol of the economic change and development of the whole region. So now let's have a look to future developments in the next 10 years, because I mentioned transformation process is not finished yet. The green buildings are things we have to do. The orange buildings we just have finished them. These are new buildings, and the blue ones, we just have finished them too. These are old buildings. This is a main touristic center, and the other both circles are the places we are working on. Another important task for us is the expansion of the economic hub, Zollverein. Above in the left, you see two new buildings of the RRG and the RRG Foundation. They are it's a former coal mining company. In the right above, you see the Zollverein campus. It's the Folkwang University of Arts. We finished this 2 years ago for 500 students. In the left, down under, you see a picture of our comb building. We installed a lot of offices for small entrepreneurs, and till now we have 1,500 new jobs founded in this place. And we also have some think tanks. In the right under, you see a picture of a company called Accenture. So altogether, Zollverein is a place of transformation. We have the theme culture and tourism with the Red Dot Design Museum, with the Ruhr Museum, with the Zollverein guides and tours, and a lot of events, exhibitions, concerts, and events. We are a place of education. We have the Folkwang University of the Arts. We have 500 students and a lot of cultural, educational projects. And Zollverein is a cultural and is a place of cultural and creative industries. 60 companies of creative industries have their hometown here in Zollverein. 1,500 new jobs, and we have 50 award-winning event locations, 50 rooms and halls we rent. What you see here is the Zollverein Park. because Zollverein is also a place with new nature for the neighborhood and for our visitors. Large areas of the site are wild or designed nature. And the Zollverein Park invites visitors and neighbors to spare free time or to do sports like running. The former railway tracks are new cycle tracks and footpaths. So the nature of the Zollverein Park is a very unique industrial nature with special types of brownfields or succession forests, habitats for endangered species, and about 700 animal and plant species have been documented at Zollverein. And this is very important for us because we are a former heavy industrial area. So, and our guided tours, they also have a lot of themes on different natural history themes. I hope that this short introduction of Zollverein can give you some inspiring moments for questions and comments. And I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Delia, for your presentations. It's very interesting of the sites. I hope that your presentations will stimulate participants who happen to be in Germany, maybe after the Corona crisis, to visit Zollverein. Now I would like to invite the panel members to share their response, feedbacks, or comments. And I invite Yunus Arbi. Yunus Arbi is the World Heritage Management expert of Indonesia, and he was involved in Sawahlunto nominations from the beginning. I invite Pak Yunus Arbi to share your opinion and your thoughts. Pak Yunus, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, please share your screen maybe. Yes,
okay.
Thank you.
Oops. Wait. Sorry. Thank you, everyone. I hope it's that I will give an overview of what we have been doing, and the presentation given by Ms. Delia was very valuable for us to learn more on what should be done for the umbilical coal mining in the future. So perhaps I will give an overview that Indonesia right now have 4 sites and 5 sites, and the umbilical, which we propose has been initiated by the Municipality of Sawahlunto since early 2000. And then the idea of putting umbilical was referring to the global strategy and then the e-commerce evaluation to see which site which is underrepresented, especially in Asia, in Southeast Asia. And then during the process, we will a kind of process that we're doing, like a learning process nomination through capacity building under guidance from the World Heritage expert resource person, which one of the book written by Indonesian professor about the Sawahlunto coal mining issue about the conflict and class of ethnic. So, and then we did comparison with some sites which is mostly coal mining is only 3 countries at the present in the World Heritage List, which is the Japan, the Germany, and the Belgium. So we were thinking of what make us different than the other coal mining sites. So therefore, we see that the outstanding was actually the coal mining of Sawahlunto is have this three systemic linkage. We start from the mining site and then the company town, and then start the transportation from the, we pass the 155 kilometers through train railway, and then goes to the seaport, and where the last place to store and then ship it to the outer world. So as explained earlier by the mayor, so I won't repeat what has been explained earlier. So this is the situation where following the closure of the mining activities, we realized that the site has become dead monument, but it becomes a value and identity, and it turns into a cultural heritage site. Because since it's closing in the 2000, all the mining pit was abandoned, being demolished, and a lot of corrosion, building refunction into houses and office. So therefore, the mayor established a regulation 2007 in order to protect. We realized that the industrial heritage is about maintenance, and public access are two unholy alliance. So how do we save the rest? And this is, we can learn what the Zollverein have been doing since 20, I think it's almost 20 years, comparing to Sawahlunto. The Sawahlunto site is also facing threat where there's, because of the development, a lot of scenery pollution, earthquake, and landslide, which most of the Sumatra, because Indonesia is in the position of the ring of fire, so many disasters occurred in this archipelago. And uncontrolled development and growth of the inhabitants, because the city, the Sawahlunto town, becomes a growing town, and many people comes and then make a living there because there's some opportunity, while the local is also facing because since the mining stopped, and then they find out what kind of other work that there possibility. And then the area also, there's a fire and flood happens once in a while, because located in the river called Lunto. And another interesting thing is the air pollution or smoke impact of the first forest burning, which occur every year within the area. So this is one of the other problems is threatening our site. And the methane gas, which is still active, where once in 2009 there was a coal mining explosion, and there's some victims during the project. So I think we need to know how the Zollverein develop this disaster management risk that should be applied. Perhaps if there's some information, because I didn't hear there's information about, or perhaps there's no disaster risk happen. And the other one that we're still concerned, because the site is still under the authority of the company, which is still not actually operating, because when it proposed the World Heritage Site is there's no mining activity. But there's a strategy where in the World Heritage, where from the IUCN saying that the coal business leaders in the mining has been agreed to stop doing this extraction of industry, especially in the World Heritage Site. So this is a problem also that we're still facing, and then how can we learn from the Zollverein to work together among these various stakeholders in order to preserve and to give economic value to for the sustain the area itself. And the last one is this, how to strategy to sustain and enhance in global quality, because as you know, Sawahlunto is located in a very remote area from the big city in Sumatra. So, but the uniqueness, because of the former workers or the labor, when the mining stopped, and then all the workers becomes a citizen of the Sawahlunto, and now they bring their culture and culture and art performance, and also develop a local language we call the Tangsi language. So in Sawahlunto, the uniqueness is, instead of just a cultural heritage, we have a diverse of cultural diversity, especially from the former mining workers and the local community. So we see some program that been developed in Zollverein. So maybe in this case, perhaps we can get more information about it. And the last is through this discussion, we hopefully, since Sawahlunto has just started since last year, and we're now trying to put our management plan into action. So hopefully, through one of these discussion, can give some idea how do we put that in action plan. The last, thank you very much for your very valuable presentation, and hopefully through this information you can get some overview of our newly World Heritage Site, which is Ombilin Coal Mining Site. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Pak Yunus Arbi, for a very well-through presentations and also vivid points that you want to address between Sawahlunto and Zollverein. The second response will be delivered by Ronnie Armis. He is a PhD candidate of risk assessment and disaster preparedness of museums in the Institute of Disaster Mitigations for Urban Cultural Heritage in Itsumeikan University of Japan. Pak Ronnie Armis, if you are with us, the time is yours. Okay, thank you. Would you like to share a screen, or you are just talking?
I just give some comments.
Okay, welcome.
Okay. Thank you,
If
Delia.
you would like to introduce more of yourselves, also welcome.
Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Ronnie Armis. Actually, I'm a government official at the local government of Sawahlunto, but now I'm studying, I'm pursuing my PhD degree in the Graduate School of Policy Science at Itsumeikan University. Thank you, Delia, for your interesting presentation. I noticed many good practices and good examples on how you preserve the mining heritage as well as gain benefit, economic benefit from mining heritage tourism. You mentioned that Zollverein is the world's largest and most modern coal mining site, and also is said to be the most beautiful. Yeah, and you held 500 events per year with the annual visitor 1.5 million visitors. You also provide like diverse tourism products, service and experience such as sports tourism, adventure tourism, recreational, educational, exhibitions, museum, and etc. I believe that in Zollverein, in essence, mining heritage tourism is not the only option. I think there are many alternative opportunities to to gain benefit. I mean, to provide job for the people in the essence. But for your information, Sawahlunto is slightly different with Zollverein. For your information, Sawahlunto is only a small size post-mining city. The inhabitants only around 60,000 people. And yeah, as mentioned by Mr. Yunus, actually Sawahlunto is in the remote area, far from the center of government, provincial governments. And now we are trying to promote tourism after mining, but actually we are still suffering from inherited problems from mining. Many disused mining facilities, abandoned land, declining in economic. We are facing we have limitation in budgeting, in organizational capacities, but we still believe that tourism is the future in the Sawahlunto. And from your presentation, I also noticed that in 1998, Zollverein established Zollverein Foundation, which is we don't have in Sawahlunto, as the general manager or the how can I say, the leader in preservation effort. Also, you have many financial source, state or federal government, private sectors, European Union, but in Sawahlunto, I think we don't have such a big amount of money. And then the 1 year after the inscription in the World Heritage Site, Zollverein has established a master plan. But here in Sawahlunto, after 1 year, we still struggling in fulfilling the recommendation of ICOMOS. For example, establish disaster risk reduction strategy, developing heritage impact assessment, or sustainable tourism strategy. So in this opportunity, I would like to know more from your side. How did you manage the mining legacy? Because in Sawahlunto, there is a main concern. Now we have like a unclear property rights issue between the former mining company with the local government, and we would like to know from your experience, how can you manage this asset, these properties become mining heritage properties? Yeah, perhaps Sawahlunto can follow your footstep in developing mining heritage tourism. I think that's all my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Roni. I think you have described the challenges that faced by Sawahlunto quite well. And then the next panel member is Robbie Rosandi. He is a PhD candidate of public administrations in Khon Kaen University of Thailand. Pak Robbie, are you with us?
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay. Please go ahead to share your opinion or feedbacks or questions. Are you going to share screen or are you doing something?
No.
No? Okay. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. First, to start this discussion, I would like to quote one word or one sentence from UNESCO. This is with regard to the how to combine UNESCO World Heritage with sustainable tourism. World Heritage Sites create jobs. They promote local activity through arts and craft. They foster tourism and they generate revenues. So the point now is the cultural World Heritage is no longer as a cultural site which has not so strong vibrant to attract many people, to attract visitors to come and see, to come and learn there. But now what you call it, the direction is toward the tourism. So this is what the many people should taken care of. That in the next decade, or even it's already started. And if we take a look to the experience by Zollverein, which they preserve, has a dual mission. First is for preservation and conservation, and then the second mission is to generate economic growth through the existence of this heritage site. Ronnie has already mentioned about the problem, and this is, I think, considered as the biggest problem in Sawahlunto. We would like to know more how Zollverein transform the ownership of the heritage site. I think the company who manage, the company who operate this whole activities is private or state-owned companies there. Maybe Delia could provide us more information on this. And then how the transfer process of the ownership from this coal mining company to Zollverein Foundation. So maybe we can learn more from the experience of Zollverein on this issue. And then there is one interesting question from me. Sawahlunto, the coal mining in Sawahlunto contribute a lot of, a relatively high share of the economic in the economics. In the economic development in Sawahlunto at that time. So the close mining, the of mining, we record the significant decrease in the coal production. So maybe Delia can share more how is the transformation process between when the mining is closed, and what is the reason for the closure? Is it because of the no longer coal available, or is it because of the inefficient production, or what? Maybe you may explain us later further. We noticed that this site is managed by foundation. We have several types of organization, like for example, private companies who has a profit motive. But what is the reason to choose foundation as the organizational, organization forms to manage this site? That's also the big, the most interesting issue that we would like to know. And then we noticed that on 2010 there is a significant there's a significant increase in the visitors in Zollverein. If I know from your presentation, I hear that Ruhr area is awarded as the cultural city of Europe. Is it because of this, or because of another strategy, like converting this cultural site into offering more services to, let's say, as a place for exhibition, a place for what else? A place for concert events and so on. And then this is also one of the interesting point that I noticed, that you mentioned that more than 500 events per year, sports, culture, business, food, art, concepts, and so on. And how is the arrangement? Is it the foundation itself as the event organizer, or you just rent the room there and then some place there, or how, or you have a cooperation with let's say with event organizer outside the city, or how you manage this? I think for now that's all from me. I give it back to Hasti.
Thank you very much, Pak Robi. I think you also mentioned some important questions and interesting also about management body of Zollverein. And I hope that Delia and Sebastian have written all the questions and feedbacks and comments. And about 1 hour, we have discussions to address first from the three panelist members, and afterward we are going to address questions from the audience. So welcome Delia and Sebastian, if you would like to address all the questions and feedbacks, please go ahead.
Yeah, then let me first start, say hello to everyone, and thanks for the chance to speak to so many people about our jobs here. Yeah, I start with Yunus, or part of. I didn't get all the questions because there are so many and type of different questions. But one question was how to manage the change from the ignorance and vandalism by the local people, and how to manage this. In Zollverein here, we the whole area, which is not that far separated like in Sawahlunto, it's more a more compact site, but surrounded by the local inhabitants. And we had, in the beginning, there was a lot of vandalism here on the site. So everybody come here had stolen the metals for selling them, and smashed all the windows and so on. But this is, I can tell you, this will decrease with every step you take in using or bring more life to the old areas. And it is, of course, you need it is a long-term perspective. So when the coal mine was closed in the late 80s, or the cokery in the early 90s, the inhabitants have always to deal with, yeah, we have no jobs, and this is old and also a polluted area, which has to be mentioned. So it's not that healthy to go on an industrial site. And with these in mind, the old times, they had a very negative approach to these new uses. But with every step, and you show them that it's their history, and act with them together, and give them the opportunity to see what was there in the past, because not everyone worked there. So it's interesting for other people who see perhaps where their grandfathers work, or some uncle of them in the family worked, and what is their own history, or part of their own history, or part of their livelihood. And we now really get very positive feedback from the nearby inhabitants. They are proud of the heritage. They are proud that they have a heritage site. That's something which is come from a very negative phase, now is something the city of Essen is very proud of, and presents everywhere the Zollverein logo is everywhere in the communication of the city and of the tourist sector, and people around this area here are very proud that they are part of this, and they can share this with their families, and they can share this with friends. When they get visitors from outside, they always bring them here to the site, show them this here, and then they're doing holidays, for example, or doing other things. So this is one thing you have to deal with. This every time is a problem in the beginning, but after, okay, it is 20, 30 years now later, so it has to, you have to be very confident with this. But and another example is that the whole area here is named now Zollverein. The part of the towns have now called themselves Zollverein and not their local names, which they used to have in the law. So they are very proud, and it's a very identifying monument here for the whole area. So because it's in the whole area, in the rural area, is this coal-like area, and so that's a symbol for the whole region now. This what I can answer to your point too, I think it was. So it is very important, I think. You also mentioned that you have very different local cultures and very different inhabitants. So it's, I think it would be great if they had the chance to use parts of your World Heritage Site to live their culture, to make events for themselves. So it's not that you always have to do something which is connected with the heritage, but it's located on the heritage site, so that it becomes present in their livelihood and their normal life, so that they can go to the heritage site, go to concerts, making music, making discussions, making something which is in their cultural background necessary. So the room for them is on the heritage side. It would be a great opportunity, I think, to manage these conflicts between lost jobs and the pollution, and on the other hand, the chance to be very proud of it.
Pak Yunus also asked about threat. Do you have threats in Zollverein?
We are in the lucky position that we have no natural risks here. So we are not threatened by any natural diseases. So we have no earthquakes, no river floods or something. Of course, we have during climate change more extreme rainfalls in a very short period, so we have to strengthen our water management, but it's not that it is a real threat to the heritage site. So that is some point we are very lucky, but it's so that is the point I can nothing give you a hint or something, or a better information to deal with these tasks. And another question was, and then I will pause, was the how we get the effective management. And this is also what also Roni and Robbie also questions, is how do we get these strong ownership? And I think the ownership is one central point in doing an effective management. This was also complicated here. The ownership was separated between different, for first the private company, the old mining company who owns most part of the sites. Then we had the lucky circumstances that in North Rhine-Westphalia, through the whole transformation progress from all the worn down industrial areas to a more moments that there was a company run by the land of Northern Westphalia itself, who owned the ground here. They got it for €1. Sorry, muss ein Mikro ausmachen.
Yeah.
And so this was one big owner, but it was also public ownership. And parts of the heritage were sold to private. I think we call them pioneers, because there was nothing here on the ground, and they were very motivated artists and entrepreneurs who did the first step. So they invested private money to get a first use to some parts, to some smaller buildings, and build them on themselves. So it's the combination of the public ownership and the private pioneers who did a very good beginning. And then we had the problem to transfer the ownership from the private company to a public institution like us. We're also a public institution. And of course, there has to be some strength will in the public administration to not to force them, but to convince them that it's a good idea to transfer the ownership. And we had a model to in Germany, as a mining company, you have to, after stopping your business, you have to demolish all buildings. You have to demolish all buildings, build everything back, and then you can use it for housing, for other commercial uses. So, and in this case, we had the force to preserve the buildings and not to demolish all. So the company saved the money for demolishing the buildings. Mm-hmm. And this money was transferred to the public institutions like us or our former form of ownership. And this was a model to deal with, to change the money and the costs. And so I don't know if it's transferable to your country, but this was only one step. I think what it's really important is that you have one main owner and one main institution for managing the heritage site, or I think the main parts of the heritage site. Even your heritage is also a very, very large site. So you have to concentrate perhaps on some parts, where other parts can be in different ownership, and they can do their economic purposes they have for their land. So I think this is a very very important point for doing an effective management.
So how long was the negotiation process with the mining company?
I think it's also it's not that. Of course, we had in the whole Ruhr area the concept of using old industrial sites for cultural uses. This is what happens during the phase of the what we call IBA, the International Building Association. Yes, and in this part, it was a 10-year program. It was a 10-year program, and there was something. Also, the companies could learn that this is a good thing to do with all their not used properties, because not everything of their properties is used for cultural use or transferred for a little amount of money to the public, but the surrounding properties still held by the old companies or other owners are of course decreasing in their value, because there are now other uses. So this is also a very important point. So they have effectively it's the worth is the worth of their property is rising through the time with every use other partners do on part of their properties. But to convince them, it's of course you have to it's politics discussions, of course. So it's not to quantify how long they are really talking. And
yes, yeah. So I might help you a bit, Sebastian, to sharpen the questions about the economic impact. Do you think of the Zollverein sites to the region?
yeah, of course.
The economic impact after 20 years, yeah.
Yeah. It's always hard to quantify it, but with we've done it a few years ago when we were asked how much money was invested here in this area, and you can say in 30 years it's about 300 million euros, perhaps in 30 years. And we now have 1,500 people working steadily on the ground and have their business here. But the money who was invested here also gained benefit in the working companies who did all the preservation work and so on. So this stabilizes also the local or the regional economics. And of course, the whole tourism sector is a thing who gives very big benefits to the whole region.
Okay.
And it's the image of the town. So nobody had it in mind that the main thing to come to this region is visiting old mining sites. But now it's the thing to do here. So of course we have big and famous art museums in Essen, but the sign which is used for all the advertising for the region and for the tourism sector is always these industrial scenery. So it's also politicians come here to make photos here because it's a well-known sign. So they use it for their own site.
Yes, and you have 500 events per year. Yes. Do you organize all of them by yourselves, or you just rent the place?
It's a mixture of it. We have an own department in our foundation which is dealing with this event business. So they are around 10 people, I think, dealing with these rental questions. So we have the one part is to rent our halls and rooms for other event managers to make their cultural or commercial events. So we are just doing the rental. And on the other side, we have own events, like you see the ice rink in the winter, which is very famous here for the local people. The ice skating rink.
Yeah, we don't have ice in Indonesia.
Yeah,
we have sun.
It's also not an it's all artificial ice what we do here. So the winter is gone. even in Germany, the winter is not here. Not at the time before Christmas when we do the ice rink. It's all artificial.
All ice.
That's not that sustainable. Sorry, but it's on the other hand, it's sustainable for using the site. So these are examples of events we do on our own, or we have the swimming pool in the summer, or we do outside cinema events or something. So like these smaller events we do on our own, or some concerts or comedy shows or something that we organize also ourselves. And on the other hand, not every event location on Zollverein is owned by ourselves. So we have long-term rentals with private companies who run their own business in the halls, which we renovated, or they renovated them themselves and preserved them, but they're now running their business on themselves. So it's a mixture of own events, rentals to event companies, and events done by event companies located on the heritage site.
Thank you very much for your response. We are not satisfied yet because there are some points still missing. But before we continue with discussions, I would like to welcome the team, the officers of the officials from the Municipality of Sawahlunto, the Vice Mayor, Bapak Zollverein Sayuti, Ibu, okay, I have to translate the Indonesians officials' names, positions into English. The Secretary of the Municipality of Sawahlunto, Ibu Ambun Kudui. I apologize if I make a mistake. I do my best. And then the head of the Cultural Heritage and Museums Agency, Bapak Halomoan. And then the head of the Agency for Planning and Research for Local Development, Bapak Muksis, and the first assistant of Secretary of the Municipality of Sawahlunto, Bapak Efrianto. Thank you very much that you all allocate time to join our discussions. And maybe if the mayor, Bapak
Yes.
Bapak Dewi Asta would like to ask questions or comment, please welcome Pak Dewi Asta. You also, of course, this is the forum for you. If you have questions or feedback or comments, feel free to let us know, and then you will have the floor. So I think those are the welcome, and also for the Municipality of Sawahlunto. We have a co-moderator, Cindy Indira. She's a landscape architect from Medan. Cindy, you will help us to sum up the questions for participants. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We have 10 questions from the participants, but before we would like to hear from Bapak Wali Kota, Bapak Dewi Asta, if you like to have comments or questions.
Oke. Terima kasih Ibu Asti, Ibu moderator. Jadi yang pertama dari ekspos yang disampaikan Ibu Delia tentang Zollverein, ini sangat memotivasi kita di Sawahlunto. Secara prinsip ini kan hampir sama, bahwa tambang batubara Ombilin dan Zollverein Essen ini sama tambang batubara yang tentatif waktunya itu juga di era setelah revolusi industri, jadi hampir bersamaan. Tetapi secara prinsip di Sawahlunto, Ombilin Coal Mining Heritage of Sawahlunto ini sangat luas sekali, jadi lebih 120 km. Tapi zona intinya memang ada di Sawahlunto sebagai kota tambang yang terintegrasi. Jadi kemarin kita 6 Juli 2020 kita melaksanakan of Sawahlunto sebagai salah satu warisan budaya dunia oleh UNESCO. Tetapi yang sangat prinsip di Sawahlunto, kita ada beberapa rekomendasi yang harus kita tindaklanjuti, yaitu ada 16 rekomendasi yang nanti sampai akhir Desember 2021 nanti. Dan ini yang paling penting kalau menurut kami di Sawahlunto, beberapa hal yang menjadi kewenangan pemerintah Kota Sawahlunto sudah kita mulai tindak lanjuti. Tetapi kalau bicara regulasi kita di negara Republik Indonesia, kita memang daerah tidak berwenang untuk melakukan kegiatan-kegiatan tentang warisan budaya tersebut. Jadi memang kita harus membuat semacam badan pengelola, dan sampai saat ini memang belum ada. Tadi kami mendengar apa yang disampaikan oleh Ibu Delia, bahwa di Zollverein berbentuk yayasan, yaitu Zollverein Foundation. Jadi kami ingin dapat informasi tentang Zollverein Foundation ini sampai sejauh mana kewenangan dalam mengelola situs warisan dunia tersebut dan hubungannya dengan pemerintah Jerman sendiri. Karena memang kalau di Indonesia yang harus membuat badan pengelola itu adalah pemerintah pusat. Jadi ini yang sangat penting karena memang fungsi dan kewenangannya akan kelihatan dari badan pengelola tersebut. Karena di Sawahlunto, Ombilin Kolmening Heritage of Sawahlunto, pemilik asetnya itu bukan pemerintah. Pemilik asetnya itu adalah beberapa perusahaan swasta, perusahaan BUMN. Jadi tentu dengan adanya ini tentu akan lebih memaksimalkan nanti. Jadi kami ingin menanyakan tentang Zollverein Foundation ini. Sejauh mana kewenangannya dalam mengelola situs warisan dunia tersebut. Saya rasa mungkin itu dari kami. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Wali Kota untuk pertanyaannya. Saya sudah terjemahkan untuk Sebastian dan Delia. So Sebastian, I have translated in the chat room for you, so you can reply directly to the mayor, please.
Yes, okay. How we are connected with the government? We are exactly separated from the government. We are not a department by our government officially. We are a separated foundation. And we have to follow some public household rules, of course, because we are founded with public money, but we are working on our own. But we are not like a company with to gain benefit or money outcome for everything we have. We are 100% funded by public money we get every year. But it's not the local government, it's the land of North Rhine-Westphalia, so the surrounding state who gives us the money for maintenance and for the tasks. And so the local government or also the land is not in person involved. We have I don't know right the words. I have to look for den Aufsichtsrat hier, Stiftungsrat von Jensen. Yeah, we have a board where stakeholders from the town and from the land and from private companies are situated to have the overview of what the foundation is doing. This is the connection in person between the government and our foundation. Yeah, it's a supervisory board that we have, but our CEO is doing it at his own responsibility, what is happening here on the heritage side.
Just to clarify, so your foundation is not to make profit.
Yes. Yes,
so you are not allowed to make profit for yourselves, but you have to generate income.
Yes, of course. Yes. We have to generate income from our, we generate income from, but
the profit goes to foundations.
The profit goes to the foundation and refinances the tasks we have.
So not the profit doesn't go to the stakeholders, like
no.
Like stakeholder. Yeah. Okay.
No.
I think it's clear because you receive funding for staff from different resources. Okay.
Yes. We receive funding. Most funding for our staff and for our maintenance task is funding from the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. We get every year a certain amount of money for this.
For staff.
And with our with our income, it increases our possibilities of.
So how many
for all the preservation tasks, restoring big old industrial buildings, which deserves millions of euros. This is not done with this money. This is also extra funding from different sources. It's mostly also programs which are run by the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. In the past, we have we were part of some bigger European Union funding program for getting the chance to preserve all the buildings, building the infrastructure for the visitors and so on. So this is extra funding we need. So all the income, even with the many events and many rentals, is not the chance to
for the operation.
Pak Wali Kota, apakah memperjelas sedikit? Tentu saja kita butuh penjelasan lebih panjang, tapi sudah ada gambaran sedikit. Oh, sorry, I speak bahasa to you. Okay, is it a little bit clear for you, Pak Wali Kota, about the foundations?
Sementara cukup, Ibu.
Ya, oke. Mungkin nanti untuk lebih detailnya kita bisa, Bapak mungkin langsung ke Essen, ke Jerman, Pak, untuk tentang fondasi. For management body, more stories about how you manage the sites. He's welcome to visit your Zollverein
yes.
by himself. Yeah.
Of course. We invite you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Bu Hasti. Hello, everyone. We've been working with our team, with Yulia and Pak Gino, to summarize some of the questions. There are 10 interesting questions, but most of the questions are already answered by Sebastian. So I will read, because we have limited of times, I will read the questions that may be interesting to be explained more. There is a question from Ibu Wiwin Wiono Putri. Sebastian has already explained about the financial support. And Ibu Wiwin would like to know how much the percentage of financial support from various agencies and the foundation income generated by touristic experiences. I know that you explained before about the agencies that support you, but maybe would you like to explain more on the percentage of the financial support? And the
yes,
second,
I will try.
Okay. I will deliver 3 questions, and then maybe you can make a notes. The second question, it is related to activities. You've been making a lot of activities within the Zollverein for the last 2 decades. Are there any educational projects or activities that were done in the past and can be done in the future cooperating with NGOs related to educational project? Okay. That is from Ibu Ismi. Would you like to answer, or you would like to hear one more question?
I would like to answer first, so it's not that complicated for me. I hope I do my best. The percentage of the touristic income, you can say a third of all the costs we have in a year are refinanced by rentals and incomes from touristic ticketing and other events we have here on the site. So, it depends on which task we are doing. When we're doing big preservation projects, we have a lot more funding to be needed to done all the building restoration things. So, but you can say it's about a third from all the total costs which are coming by touristic income. And the other question was if we've done educational projects. And this is also an aspect which connects to the things I said regarding to UNIS at the beginning. Education is a very important point, because during these educational programs we've done, especially with school kids, we teach them about their history and teach them how important it is to know about their own history and where they come from and where their region comes from. So they are now proud of it, and they can they are aware of what the use is to get heritage protected. So that's a very important task. And this is also one thing the UNESCO expects from a World Heritage Site, that you do some educational projects, especially for the local inhabitants surrounding the heritage. So we have special school cooperations with schools in the surrounding neighborhoods. They have we are some kind of classroom for them, so they come with their classes, and colleagues of mine doing special educational workshops with them. We have in the free time in the summer, when the school kids have free, we have special programs for this period of time. And of course we have other projects which are funded or cooperated with other partners like NGOs. One example is, for example, we mentioned in our Zollverein Park, what we call Zollverein Park, the open landscape surrounding the buildings. We cooperate with the environmental NGO, which is for environment safety. So, and they're doing projects with kids and other interested people on our side and with our side. So that's a different kinds of educational projects we are doing here, and we're doing them from the beginning on, and we will intense our doing in these part of our task, because this is one very important thing to do for you as a World Heritage Site.
Okay, thank you, Sebastian. I hope the questions will be clear for Ibu Wiwin. Another questions from Priyanka Panchwani from India. Apart from creating awareness through guided tours, what actions are being taken to preserve intangible heritage of both sites, if any? Both sites mean only for Sawahlunto and also for Zollverein. Is it clear, the questions?
Can you explain?
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Apart from creating awareness through guided tours, what actions are being taken to preserve intangible heritage of Zollverein and also for Sawahlunto?
Okay, so what we're doing to preserve the buildings and structures?
The intangible, not the tangible.
Okay.
The story maybe, or the historical backgrounds. And
this is what we have an own department here in our foundation who are dealing with these guided tours and making the program. And what is also very important to show what was happening here and to how the workers lived, for example, and how these, I think this is what you mean. So the whole living circumstances and so on. This is also shown via our guided tours, and we are also preparing a new exhibition on the Zollverein history itself, where such aspects are presented to the visitors in the future, because all the old workers are now very old, and not everyone wrote a book about his life. So we are dealing in the past to interview them very closely, and also many of them have private photos, for example, from their working on the site. So this is very important to keep those information for the next generations. And this was a project run by my colleagues to doing very long interviews with the former workers, because the former workers also working now here as tourist guides, and they're the yeah, I don't think most valuable is the right word, but they're the most interesting guides you can get here on the site, because they have another feeling about what they are saying. It's not all historical, so they done it themselves. So it's very personal. It's a very personal story that they can tell. So that is very important to save all their information and all the other ones. In addition to that, we have a museum on our side, the Ruhr Museum, which is a museum for the whole history of the region, where also all these aspects are shown to the visitors. So it's not only the historic or the coal mining technique which is shown here, also the living circumstances, the change in dealing with pollution of the environment, and all these aspects, or working conditions. All of these parts are already shown here on the site.
Okay. The same questions also raised to Sawahlunto. Maybe Pak Yunus?
Yeah. Actually, the Sawahlunto, because they have local culture before the coming of the European and build this mining. So the local now, in order to involve them as part of the site, because the difference is Sawahlunto is a town, a village where there's a local community before it coming. So now on, we define what is the intangible heritage that makes part of the identity. And Indonesia, we have a intangible heritage registered as a national heritage, as a Indonesia heritage, Indonesia intangible heritage, and some already part of the UNESCO intangible heritage. For instance, last year, the songket, the weaving, as part of the local, the intangible heritage, and then that's an opportunity to be part of the information or the management that's going to be inserted into this World Heritage in the e-commerce, in the Ombilin coal mining. Instead of before, the other one is historical background that, as you mentioned, as Sebastian mentioned, related to the workers, how the work were part of the history of the site, which is now actually we're getting more information that not only part of the European history, but how the local get impact through the new impact of the industrial revolution, because that's the change of how the people's lives, and then they got the facility, and then that makes the way of the local people of Sumatra or the West Sumatra change their life. And that's part of the intangible heritage that we are working on it, still working on it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sebastian and Pak Yunus. There are more questions to answer, but I will choose some of the questions that might be can be explained deeper to our seminar. There is a question from my great son. The question is, to what extent does management of change have an impact on society, economy, culture, and tourism around Ombilin coal mining? And to what extent can management of change be applied? Does it survive or die? It is more like a summary of questions, I mean.
Yeah.
So maybe
So it is questions for Sawahlunto, right?
Yes, this is the question for Sawahlunto.
Yeah. Is there anyone from Sawahlunto side would like to answer us about how Sawahlunto will address change? Because that's very interesting. I think Indonesia cultural heritage is booming in Indonesia, and we are still learning how to do the right things. And I think there are some stakeholders still think that that cultural heritage is about dead monuments. Actually, it is not.
Can I give?
It is not. Yes, okay, please, Pak Yunus, response. Yeah.
It was interesting. I think that's some of the question being raised, this management of change. And we were, because of the World Heritage site, everyone gets shocked. But and the other one is, people said, oh, it's a good opportunity because it increased tourism. But the problem that we are actually facing is, just one question asking, why can that new building be part within the area? You know, yeah, like the monument, and then this new building were built, like in Zollverein. And at the same time, we are so worried with the World Heritage Site that can decrease the OUV. And so that's why we are prohibited to do any infrastructure built within the zone. But we see that in Zollverein.
But I think in especially in West Europe, it is common to have a new structure in the World Heritage sites through some process and mechanism which are very disciplined. So Sebastian and Delia, what Pak Yunus has just mentioned is that they are worried about new structure in the World Heritage sites, but they have seen that you have some new structures, buildings in your sites. So what is the balance between keeping the old according to OUV and then accommodating new needs through new buildings?
Yes. Yeah, of course, it is very difficult to manage these different expectations to be run on a site. So the economic pressure is very high, but you also have to make sure that the OUV is not negatively influenced. And these thoughts were made when the master plan was developed for the Zollverein area. So they looked what is the main part where the OUV is shown, or you can see the OUV, what is directly preserved. And on the other hand, we had some areas where no historical buildings were still standing. So it's limited space. But then we said, and you always manage the word change. So it's a transformation progress. And these heritage sites are not dead monuments. They are, in our case, we are a very living and vital monument, because we have these changes and they express in some ways in new buildings. So, and the master plan run by Rem Koolhaas said where is place for new developments and which areas have to be the pure heritage area where nothing can be built new or only in very, very small ways. So this is always what we have to balance. But I think it is possible to secure the OUV and on the other hand have the opportunity for change and for developments also in new buildings perhaps when it's not possible to get it all inside the buildings, when it's possible to do it inside an old building. But it's very important to have it here for us. For example, the Folkwang University with 500 students. So this has to be a new building, and it's but it had a really big impact on develop a very big push in developing the site.
Okay.
One of the lesson, sorry, Cindy.
Yeah, it's okay.
I would like to comment first because it's very important for especially the Indonesians of Sawahlunto that the status of World Heritage Sites is not a barrier for new development. I think we need to accommodate the needs of the current community, the current society. So as long as through assessments. Our friend Juliana Strogan in the chat has mentioned about heritage impact assessment. I think that's very important. So if you would like to combine old and new developments, you can always take the heritage impact assessment first, and then consider carefully about the pro and the cons. Thank you, Juliana Strogan. And Cindy, you have more questions? We still have 3 minutes before we close.
Actually, the questions about the heritage impact assessments is, there is a question from Suhardi related to what instruments are used to balance between the old and the new, but I think you already answered that. And then there is a questions about the adaptive reuse. I think that's also the questions about the how to balance the old and the new. And then there is also questions from Ibu Erwiza Ermant about historical. Is there any labor force working in Zollverein before in the past, as we have here in Ombilin?
In Sawahlunto.
In Sawahlunto.
Yeah.
Yes, we had it in the period of the Second World War. There were some forced workers on the coal mine. This is also a topic we are now dealing with. We are preparing for this year a memorial statue there with some prepared information that on the site where now the cokery is standing, there were the barracks of the forced workers before they built the cokery plant in the 50s. So we also have this in a not that big amount like in other industrial complexes in Germany, but it's still part of the history, and it's our job to keep this memory vital.
Okay, so you do something to remember the role of the forced labor. Yeah. I think in Sawahlunto it is quite an issue about the history of forced labor in the past. Yeah. Is there any more comments from the panel's members of Sawahlunto before I ask last comment from Delia and Sebastian, and then we close? Pak Yunus, Pak Obi, and Pak Oni, do you have any outstanding issues or last comments?
Yeah, I think.
Or are you satisfied?
Maybe I think I have one comment. Actually, Indonesian government has two choices with regard to the organizational issue. First is they have one form which is called now in Indonesia Badan Layanan Umum or BLU. In local they call it Badan Layanan Umum Daerah, and another choice is yayasan or foundation. But the team in Sawahlunto could be further elaborate this issue with central government because the heritage issue is centrally managed by central government, right? Okay, I think that's all from me.
Okay, thank you for the input. I think the management body is very crucial and essential to keep the sites going and sustainable. And before I ask Sebastian and Delia for the last comments, Juliana Strogan share information that ICROM has a webinar on heritage impact assessment in 2 minutes.
Right,
So just
yes.
Google and join another webinar. Delia and Sebastian, do you have comments or message or whatever you want to say before we close the webinar to the mayor or to the panelist members and to all participants, please?
Yeah, let me say some last words. To combine the old with the new, this means a permanently discussion. It takes time and is a daily challenge, like for us here in Zollverein.
Okay, so it is very important for all of us that even 20 years existing sites of Zollverein has still face challenges also. These problems and challenges, I think, are part of managing of changes. So don't be discouraged for Sawahlunto and other friends who still struggling with a lot of problems. It will be solved. I think in the next 20 years, we will have a webinar and to see how Sawahlunto develops. Yes, Pak Wali Kota, Pak the Mayor of Sawahlunto, Pak Gino.
Yes.
Do we have deal? Okay. And also for, I would like to thank everybody for the Municipality of Sawahlunto, and then Sumatra Heritage Trust, Indonesia Diaspora Netherlands Task Force Livable Cities, and Asia Networks for Industrial Heritage for the cooperations. Thank you to all speakers and resource persons, and thank you to all the participants. You are all wonderful, and I hope that not all questions are answered now. We will come back to you by emails for those who are not answered yet. And certificates are also will be distributed later by the Municipality of Sawahlunto. Thank you very much, and I hope that this is just the beginning of our contacts in the future. Welcome to Sawahlunto for Sebastian, Delia, and other international participants, maybe after Corona crisis. And also welcome, also we would like to invite international participants and Indonesian participants to visit Zollverein. We are going to call you, Delia, Sebastian, when we visit you. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. And materials, PowerPoints, PDF, and certificates will be distributed to all participants. Thank you.
Thank you.